order. AZ gives me the thumbs up, call to order. Helen, can you hear us? Helen?
Yes, I can. Thank you.
All right.
And that's first, you do have an alternative member here. How do they join the group?
Once they're appointed.
I think he's appointed.
You got appointed last night.
Oh, you're appointed? So we have 3, 4, 5, 6. Well, come on up. You're in.
You want to come on?
I'll sit here.
You're in the game.
No, I think you really do.
No, you're.
It shows you're official. And
It's not an honorary position, and if you want to put your mouth.
did you get what?
Drafted.
Also,
Drafted.
I'll give you the whole pass.
And now you can't withdraw. So, all right, Kevin,
right, Ron Tatro.
Ron Tatro, do you know everybody? Ted, Desmond, Alan, Dale, Rebecca, Brenda?
Yep.
All righty. So, any changes, removal, any issues with the agenda? Nope, good, let's roll. New business, permit number 25-300 Masterson Development Properties LLC of Lower Notch Road, parcel number 090-227. Requesting conditional use approval for the expansion and addition of a topsoil screening and storage to the existing business yard, subject to Bristol Unified Development Regulations, Article 3, Section 353. So who's here for the applicant? Hi, Josh. You want to come up and present? Chris, how do you want to do it?
Yeah, I can. You want Josh up here as well, or you want me?
Up to you guys. I mean, if you're gonna make the presentation.
Sure.
We can check around on the editor. Chris, what do you want to do? Do you want
I
to?
think you know it's.
Let's see if we get better.
I didn't say that.
No, sure, yeah.
And so, Chris Roy in the back represents Josh Masterson, Jim Carroll represents the town of Bristol, because this is an application.
Who was Carol?
Jim Carroll.
Okay.
Because this application is filed in response to a notice of violation that AZ issued, and the proposed fix, at least in part, is to obtain conditional use approval for stockpiling up on the business the business yard area, which is now expanded from when it was before. So let's see, Rebecca, Dale, Alan. So there was a previous application of Real by President.
Yeah.
And we gave conditional use approval for the business yard. For one of the lots in the Matheson property, the 3 lots. And there was a proposed topsoil stockpiling area down closer to the Lower Notch Road. And we denied stockpiling there. So this is application to have topsoil stockpiling up by the business yard, deeper into the property. That's the background in a nutshell.
Yeah.
Take it away.
Yeah, I can give a quick rundown of the application. Like I said, I'm Greg McKenney with Murray and Masterson, representing Josh, who's the applicant. We have Chris Roy, an attorney, with us, and we have Eddie Duncan online. He is a sound expert who's prepared one of our studies that we included in the application. I'm just gonna read down through the project narrative.
Yep.
That's gives everyone a good
And if you can find
Background.
out things on here, like where is the Lower Notch Road is where?
yeah. So right now,
Notch Road is where?
sure. Do you want me to turn this around so you guys can see? I have a couple copies here.
Which way is north?
the copy there.
North is this way.
This is.
Yeah.
Rebecca's north.
Yep, and most of you, I think, are looking at the survey plat, which has a little less information than the engineering plans. Right, yep. One with the ortho imagery is the overall site plan. Yep,
Actually, it's probably.
All right, you failed. Hold on. Raise your right hand. You solemnly swear the evidence you shall give before the still Development Review Board should be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yes.
Thank you. That's supposed to make sure I do that at the start. And I'm gonna appoint a different deputy. If you're gonna keep going, sorry.
Okay, so yeah, again, I'll just read the narrative here. So the applicant is seeking a conditional use approval for the use of a topsoil stockpiling and screening yard on the existing 13.5 acre parcel owned by Masterson Land Development Properties. The business yard or contractor's yard, which is located on the same parcel, currently serves the applicant's business, Masterson and Son Excavation LLC. The proposed topsoil screening and stockpiling use will also serve the applicant's business.
So why don't you show us on the map, right, where that screen
Yeah,
area
so this is lot 2, 13.5 acres.
which is incidentally is much bigger than it, there's been a boundary line adjustment, it's much bigger than it was the first time we.
Yeah.
The first time around, it was like a 5 acre lot before, now it's 13.
Correct, yep. Yep, exactly.
There's a house on it. Where is the house?
The house is here.
Okay, so that's,
This is lot 1. Yep, 49 acres and change, and then lot 3 out front is undeveloped.
And for you folks who weren't here the first time around. The original proposal for topsoil stockpiling was in this area, which was a former excavation site, at least at some level with sand, gravel, and things like that, so.
Way over there.
This is closer to the road.
Yeah.
This is a Fifield House,
Yes.
so
Why?
this is what we denied,
Why?
what,
Why was it denied?
noise primarily.
So it denied, so that was the.
and how does this person, how does this property get access? This is the road.
Yeah, here's the road, and here's the
That
drive
way.
right here, yep,
Okay, goes all the way.
all the way around. And it splits to the house. This comes into the business yard, and then down through the south end, it loops into the proposed stockpile yard.
And this is owned by Masterson, but,
This is owned by Josh and his wife on lot 1.
yeah,
This is owned by Masterson Land Development Properties LLC.
and all of the rest of this is the same.
This, I
Condition.
believe, lot 3, I believe, is Masterson Land Development Properties. I'd have to confirm that with Josh.
No,
but
just sort of
It's
trying to.
unrelated, yes.
Is that right, Josh?
Yeah.
You could draw up a chair.
Oh, this is great vantage point. Thank you, appreciate it.
Okay, so the intent of the topsoil stockpile yard is to store material taken from an offsite location for business use. Dry the material by leaving it windrowed and run the material through a screen or sieve and stockpile the processed soil, where it would then await to be exported to another job site. The applicant is seeking approval to operate the screening and stockpiling yard for 300 hours per year or 30 10-hour business days. This includes days trucking material into the site, moving material, screening material, moving or stockpiling the processed topsoil, and trucking off-site. The applicant is seeking approval for an annual turnover of material up to 1,000 cubic yards. 1,000 cubic yards is 72 14-yard dump truck loads. So the estimated annual amount of material to be imported, stockpiled, screened, and exported is 1,000 cubic yards. Using a 14-yard dump truck to import 1,000 yards of material to the site would generate 144 one-way trips. In addition, exporting that same volume with a 14-yard dump truck would generate another 144 one-way trips. And a one-way trip is either a truck passing into or out of the site, so again, 72 truckloads.
Each truck was 2 trips,
Yes.
whether bringing it in or taking it out.
And that's per day?
No, this is annual.
Course of the year.
Yeah. We have a noise study, again, this is written by Eddie Duncan, who's with us of Paxwood Acoustics. In summary, the applicant has designated specific areas in the stockpiling yard for unloading trucks and for screening topsoil that does not result in decibel levels exceeding 70 decibels at the property line or 55 at any adjacent residence. I'm gonna have Eddie double check me on that, but I believe that's correct.
We'll do,
Yep.
when you do the summary, then we'll make time for Eddie to explain the
Yep.
noise to the board.
And then these areas are demarcated on the site specific or detailed site plan sheet C 3.0.
It's on the flip side of the
Yeah.
ortho photo for DRB members.
Okay, so. So
Yeah, so
north,
we have-
north now is,
North is this way now, yep,
yeah,
yep.
so like
Change the
Allen,
demarcation.
Allen's north,
Yep. So this line here, I'd have to scale it off. I know, 150 feet from the southern property line. North of that, screening is to occur, so no screening in this area. And then trucks will be unloaded in this area here.
and show us the access into the screening area there, it goes down, okay.
Yeah, this whole area, I mean, you can drive around any of it.
Okay, so explain, or some, the contours might be new to some folks, so we've got, these are 1 foot contours?
These are 1 foot contours, yes. So elevation here, what do we have? 589, 590, and then down here, I believe it's 530, so over 50 feet in elevation drop.
So if anybody has any questions along the way, yeah, pipe in, so. And otherwise, keep going.
Yeah, I mean, that's the intro, I think. I don't know if it said 7 AM to 5 PM Monday through Friday is when operations would occur.
Why don't you describe the proposal with respect to, we've got periods of delivery.
Yep, yep.
Two 2 week periods I've read, so why don't you just summarize that for the board?
Yeah, in the past, as Josh's business had certain projects, there might be a time period where he's importing, bringing in a bunch of material. You know, that 1,000 cubic yard volume. It may be over a course of 3 days. And then that's really it. Topsoil might sit here for a while until it dries out.
When would the screening take place?
Following that, there's no set schedule as far as when it's to occur. Again, it's within the 7 to 5 business hours, Monday through Friday.
Yep.
Okay, so it is 5 days a week.
It is, but again, we're proposing it to occur,
Twice a year, right? I mean.
well, 30 days is what we're proposing this operation be allowed to be open.
30 days or 300 hours.
300 hours.
So it can run basically an hour every day.
I guess if trucks were coming in at
But it could.
1 or 2, yeah. I think the intent would be when you're actually screening the topsoil, it's going to be, you know, someone's gonna be there for 4, 6, 8 hours. Moving material, running it through the screen, taking it out, stockpiling it.
Just one person.
Yeah, Josh, do you wanna weigh in on really how the process works?
Yeah.
It's really just, I don't know the size of the screen, but
Well, just Josh, what you're in, the way I understood it, and you can amplify, is you're anticipating
Yes,
2 week periods that are heavy
yeah,
in the year roughly, so just walk us through when those would be and what would happen during those 2 week periods.
Yeah, primarily, the time of the year is the August, July range. So the driest time of the year, they would be dealing with topsoil at all. There's some time of year going in this, you know, fall, it gets wet. You're not dealing with any of that, in spring it's always wet, so you're not really handling anything those times of year. So you're primarily your heavier time to be the July to August range,
for the screening.
for screening. Trucking, just, it's really dependent on what we have going on for piles, because that's when you just be cleaning out a site. Potentially to haul it in there and pile it.
But when you're acquiring material to stockpile,
Yeah.
when is that throughout the course
Throughout
of the
the
year?
course of the year,
Okay.
from, you know, in your late spring to, you know, obviously
Well-
after roads are unposted.
Yeah,
To your timeline of before weather gets bad,
okay,
so it's probably May to
and so the
October,
two week heavy periods would be for screening,
yeah.
okay, so. We all need to understand what the proposal is there.
Yeah.
So 2 week periods that screening would take place.
With it,
Would up to, and that's where you get the 300 hours, did I
yes,
get hours right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's 300 hours.
300 hours is for that, activity,
Yes.
not for the trucking part.
Yeah.
Okay,
Hey, the question.
not yet. Well, I'll make time for everybody once we get the presentation done. Go ahead.
Yeah, there's a few signs on the plan, and again, they'll just be for trucks coming in that are familiar. Josh uses a lot of the same subcontractors, but just to make this clear for people coming in. Trucks need to offload up here, the screen will be set up probably in a fixed location. But it's gonna have to be north of this point, the screening will occur, and then
North of the point, 150 feet from the southern property.
exactly, yep. And then equipment, loader can move, or an excavator can move throughout the site to stockpile the material once it's been. Before it's been processed or once it's been processed.
Board have any questions before we move on, or?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
In most of the noise. Graphs and charts that I looked at, it looks like it has one operation at a time going on. Now, in other words, where you're not gonna have, where it's saying 30 decibels, okay? You're not gonna have one 30 decibel operation going on while another one's going on, which would be a 60 decibel overall operation.
Eddie's gonna speak to that, I don't believe noise works quite like that.
It's
The
not.
way decibel levels are generated.
Yeah, it's generally not cumulative, but the noise expert ask it again and he'll explain it.
Yeah, and again, typically, maybe Josh is having trucks come in and offload on the same day that the screen is running. That could be a possibility. Yeah, being 30 days a year, it may not be.
That's what I was trying to understand.
But Mr. Duncan will give you the explanation you're looking for. I expect.
Yep.
You good or you?
Yeah, I mean, I can tell you a little more about the traffic. I gave you the volume for the trucks, and I just anticipate another 100 for someone to come down. It's usually Josh's grandfather that does this, to run the loader and the screen. So 100 trips in addition to the 288
Per what time period?
over the course of a year. Yeah.
Why don't you deal with the site distance, the outlet onto the ordinance for the site distances, because AZ's done some assessment of that already, right?
Yeah, I worked with Greg and with Eric Coda, the public works foreman, to get the site lines cleared up. Eric gave his go ahead. That they were cleared. There was some trees that needed to be taken down or should have been taken down.
Yeah.
That was a requirement from the original application.
For the new folks or folks new to this, in the original decision, which is you can give you copies of. One of the issues discussed was the sight line from the outlet of the driveway onto Lower Notch Road, the sight line north and south. And there wasn't quite the distance recommended or required for 35 foot or 35 mile an hour speed limit. So the condition was trimming to improve the sight lines, and now AZ, I guess, was certified or decided that that's been done sufficiently.
Yeah, I confirmed with the
Yeah,
public works foreman.
And one of the other aspects of the traffic from the first permit was, which will stay in place, is that the heavy trucks, when they come out, they turn right
Yes.
onto Lower Notch Road and go south. They don't come up, the dump trucks, things like that.
Yeah, all heavy trucks enter and exit from the south, which is paved.
Yep.
On Lower Notch.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's still true for this application. yeah, again, just to look at the site, to the west, it is wooded, the property will remain wooded here. Does act a little bit as a noise buffer. To the north, it's open. I wanna say it's written in here, but I believe it's 700 feet up here. Let me scale
Yeah, that
somewhere.
sounds right. From what I-
And then I think it's over 1,500 from Lower Notch Road.
So what's the elevation from here to the top?
The top is, well, this way, the very top would be up here, here's, around 600, down here was 530.
You mean going north, Ted?
To the north,
Yeah.
the contour is
Yeah.
pretty much,
Parallel?
yeah, they're really
Yeah.
parallel this
What's
one,
north, south?
yeah.
So there's
No,
no variation with the
it slopes here,
elevation.
east,
Slopes
west.
away or up?
Slopes to the west,
Okay.
downhill. So
Yeah.
it's going uphill here, it kind of plateaus,
Mhm.
and then it's steeper in here. And yeah, it's more level along Lower Notch.
Do any of the adjoining landowners have sightlines to the proposed screening area?
I do not believe so, no, because it drops off 50 feet from here. And there's no residences to
In
the
the,
south or west.
sorry, in the noise study, there's some photographic overlays, GIS type things that shows the houses, but it has topography on it for woods and things like that, so I imagine Mr. Duncan will walk through that, because that's part of the noise analysis. So you can see where the existing houses are.
Thank you.
We good?
Yeah, fire away if you have more questions.
Um, Mr. Duncan, you ready to take us through noise?
Yeah, I can do that. Happy to do that.
Oh, yeah. Thank you, Ted. Mr. Duncan, you raise your right hand, you solemnly swear that the evidence you shall give before this development review board will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do.
Thank you. So, cover the basics, because some people are new to this, Mr. Duncan.
Sure, I'm happy to do that. So the noise assessment that you have here is, well, let me just start with, my name's Eddie Duncan. I'm a board certified noise control engineer through the Institute of Noise Control Engineering, and have been practicing acoustics for over 20 years, and almost all of that 20 years is in the state of Vermont. So I've done a lot of work before local jurisdictions like this, and also Act 250 throughout the state. So that's just a little bit about me. I'm a principal consultant at Paxwood Acoustics, and I was before this board previously with the previous application as a senior director at RSG. So just a little shifting in seats, but I'm the same person that you heard from previously. So this report here, the noise assessment for the topsoil storage and screening, is very similar to the previous application in terms of the actual equipment and sources. That really hasn't changed. What has changed is the design and where it's located, which you just covered, and I don't know that I need to go into detail on that front. But if we could scroll down to figure 1 on page 4, I'm happy to kind of just orient us to at least the figures in this report. So these are the GIS figures that we include in our report. They're not quite the same thing as the site plan, but it shows some of the key elements that are important for our study. And I know you were just talking about residences and orienting kind of where we were in the site. We've zoomed out a little further than what the site plan shows here, but north is at the top of the page. We have Lower Notch Road on the right of the page. And then there's Forest to the south, and then to the left side of the page, if we zoom out far enough, we start to get over to Sherman's Lane, and you can see that there are some residences over on Sherman's Lane. At that distance there is from the topsoil storage area is around 1,000 feet in that direction. So that's just kind of orienting us for this site at a further distance. If we go to the following page, this is where we identify the applicable regulations. I'm sure you don't need me to tell you what your regulations are, but we do state it here in section 3.1 from section 751 of the Unified Development Regulations that speaks specifically to noise and calls for not having excessive noise at the property line or a significant increase or incompatibility with the reasonable use of the surrounding area. So those are some of the qualitative elements that we look to in this report by looking at what is the projected sound level, both on a maximum basis and an average basis from the proposed operation, both at the property line and at nearby residences. If we go down to page 6, just the following page, one way that we evaluate compatibility is using an ANSI standard. There's an ANSI standard, American National Standards Institute, for community noise that speaks directly to compatibility. And it states different levels of compatibility or different sound levels that are compatible with different types of land use. We're using the same value here that was used in the previous assessment, which is that an annual day-night level of 55 decibels is being compatible with a suburban residential area. You're going to see that we're not actually up at that 55 decibel. It's actually much less than that, but that's kind of the lowest level that's in that standard for us to compare to. I should say before I continue, we're going to talk about essentially 3 different sound level metrics. There's the clear line of L max, the maximum sound level that can't be exceeded at any moment. Then there's what we'll refer to sometimes as the LEQ or the equivalent sound level. You can think of that as, in terms of a layman's understanding, as the average sound level over a given time period. And then this day-night level that we talk about here in this ANSI standard is actually an average over the course of an entire year with all nighttime sound levels having a penalty applied to them due to increased sensitivity at night of 10 decibels. So those are the 3 metrics. I didn't pick this DNL for, and you didn't pick it necessarily for your standard, but that's what the ANSI standard uses. So. And then if we can go to the following section, this is where we talk about the sound propagation modeling. This is nothing new. I mean, it's the same standard that is used. It's an international standard. It was used in the previous application, and it's used in applications throughout the state of Vermont. It's called ISO 9613-2. It's the standard calculation for sound propagation outdoors. And so it's essentially a 3-dimensional computer model. We input the sound power level of the sources. We locate those sources where they will operate at an operation, and then we propagate that sound throughout the area so that we can calculate the sound level at the property line, at a residence, or really any area of interest. And so that's the same model that's being used here. We did a total of 7 operational scenarios. They included unloading topsoil with a tailgate being used to loosen the material from the truck bed. That's by far the highest sound level compared to all of the other sources. But we also modeled those other sources, which is screening the topsoil, and we did that both at the north end and the south end of the storage area. Loading topsoil into a dump truck to be taken away. We did that again at the north and southern end. And then using an excavator to load the topsoil, and again, both at the north and southern end. And for all 7 of those scenarios, we calculated both the L max and the LEQ. And so that's where we get to results on the following page.
Page 8.
I'm sorry, did someone have a question?
No, I just said page 8.
Oh, okay, thank you.
So just, since we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 columns across the top, just tell us. At least what the first 3 columns are, because those are the highest.
Yeah, so the first 3 columns are the first 3 scenarios. So the first scenario, this corresponds to the numbers 1, 2, and 3 on the previous page. So the first scenario is unloading topsoil at the northern end of the storage area and using that tailgate to loosen the material. So that's the worst case scenario. That results in the highest sound levels. And then scenario 2 and 3 are the screening operation, which occurs at the northern end in scenario 2 and the southern end in scenario 3. So it's just different locations. All of the other ones, 4, 5, 6, 7, that's loading material to leave the site. And so those are quieter operations compared to the first 3. The receptors shown in this table here are the closest receptors to the site. We've actually modeled at all of the residential receptors that were shown on the previous figure, I think figure 1, throughout the area, and that is reported in Appendix D. But we've provided at least so that we can kind of get to the main receptors here. We've just provided the closest ones in this summary table.
Mr. Duncan, on, in the middle of that chart, I see property line, or which property line is that? Is that the southern property line?
Yeah, so this is the highest sound level along the property line. So it might not be the same location. We're just reporting the highest level that occurs along both the western and southern property line. It just so happens that that is, for the most part, at the southern property line. I'd have to go back and check. I can't promise that 1 or 2 of those numbers might not be on the western edge there, but almost all of them are on the southern edge.
Okay, thanks.
If we can briefly just scroll back up to figure 1, though, just as a reminder, that southern edge is this forested area down here. So there's not really another existing land use there. There's not, there's no residences or down in that area. If we could scroll.
Excuse me, how far from that southern boundary area is the closest house?
Let's see, we can look at the scale here. So where the highest levels would be along that southern boundary, it's it's approximately 1,000 feet, just judging from the scale there at the bottom of that figure.
And would that house be at a higher or lower elevation than the boundary line?
Lower.
Lower.
Yeah, I believe the elevation is just generally trailing off to the west there.
Okay.
So if we go back down to page 8, table 1, the highest levels to take away from this chart is 53 decibels under scenario 1 at 195 and 197 Sherman Lane. Those are the closest residences to the west. I'll point out that using that same source from the previous application, at the worst case residence in the previous application, the projected sound level was 62. So this is 9 decibels quieter. And in terms of perception, what does that mean? I think that's kind of the key takeaway. For every 10 decibels of a change in sound level, whether it increases or decreases, would be a doubling or a halving of loudness. So in this case, this sound level would be considered almost half as loud as the maximum sound levels from the previous application. And then, so that's at the residences. At the property line, we can just look across that line there. And the highest sound level to occur is under scenario 3. That is when the screener is at the southern end of the area that's designated for screening, and that can produce sound levels as high as 70 decibels along that southern property line.
Mr. Duncan, I'm gonna ask you to go back to acoustics 101 for us. A little bit and address Alan's question about how a couple things, how multiple sounds work together, whether they're additive or not, as far as perception. And also explain how sound level changes with what the effect of distance is on sound level, because that's not something that most people know.
Sure. Yeah, sure. I'm happy to do that. So, in terms of sound levels being additive, sound levels can be additive if you've got, multiple sources occurring at the same time. Um, if sound levels are if there's a difference in sound level of more than 10 decibels. So let's say we have a truck that's producing 55 decibels and we have, I will say a banjo producing 40 decibels. The sound level is just the sound level of the truck. It's 55 because there's a 15 decibel difference. If, however, that banjo was also 55 and the truck was 55, if we add 55 plus 55, because sound pressure levels are logarithmic, it's actually the highest that happens is 58. So you just add 3 decibels to the higher value. So if you have two sources of the same sound pressure level, the most that you add to the sound level in that scenario is 3 decibels. And so if there's a difference in sound level between two sources of 2 to 5, then or 2 to 4 rather, you're going to add 2 decibels to the higher value. And if it's 5 to 9 decibels difference between those two sources, you're only going to add 1 decibel. And this is intuitive. If we know that a vehicle passed by on the road is 60 decibels, we've all heard that before. If another vehicle passes by on a road and we know that that one is also producing 60 decibels, we haven't actually experienced 120 decibels if they both pass by at the same time. That would be quite loud. And so that's not how it actually works. So if two cars are at that sound level passing by at the same time, 60 plus 60 equals 63. Any questions on that? And then I can talk about distance.
Well, explain how distance works with sound.
Sure, yeah. So sound levels, just due to distance alone, attenuate by 6 decibels for every doubling of distance. So if it is 50 decibels at 100 feet, if we back up to 200 feet, it will then be 54 decibels. And then to drop another 6 decibels, we have to double the distance again. That is just due to, in acoustics, it's called geometric divergence. It's just distance alone. There are other attenuating factors that reduce the sound levels even further, which is why we do sound propagation modeling, because those other factors do come into play. You might have shielding because there's intervening terrain, or you might have some attenuation due to large stands of forest, or maybe there's a barrier or something of that nature. We also have atmospheric absorption. All of those things are smaller things that do attenuate sound, but the primary attenuation factor is distance. So that's 6 decibels per doubling of distance. Any other questions on those two fronts?
That's the way, this is new to some people, I'm sure. Or. Good. Keep going.
All right. So the projected sound levels here, those are the maximum sound levels. That's for the moment that the highest sound level from the operation happens. So in scenario 1, the 53 is right as the tailgate is loosening the material from the truck bed. But over the course of a truck dumping material in an area, the sound level over that time period, which might be say 2 minutes, is much less. There is a short duration, higher sound level. That's what is shown in the top rows of this table. But over the course of the 2 minutes that unloading might be occurring, The actual average sound level is down under what we see, show on the bottom half of the graph, LEQ, which is 39 decibels. So the sound levels in the bottom half of this graph are the average sound levels of while the operations are occurring over a 2-minute period, a 10-minute period, however long it takes for those things to occur. So what we can do then is compare the maximum sound levels that are from this operation with the maximum sound levels that currently exist in the area. And we can also compare the average sound levels, or the LEQ, from this operation with the average sound levels that occur in the area. And that's kind of what's talked about in the 2 paragraphs that are under table 1 here, where the essentially the 53 and the 55 decibel, the 53 decibel L max and the 39 decibel LEQ, those are similar to the existing background sound levels that occur in the area. And we know that from the 2023 study, which is discussed on the following page on section 4.3. So what this section talks about here is just that the existing annual day-night level is 48 decibels. Again, the day-night level is that metric that we're using to evaluate compatibility per the ANSI standard. And given that the proposed operation has a relatively low intensity of use, that is, that it's not a 24/7 operation, it's not even a 8-hour regular business hour operation throughout the year, it's only for a few weeks and a few hours when things come in. That type of intensity ends up resulting in the same annual day-night sound level. So 48 decibels is the existing day-night sound level, and it is the day-night sound level with this operation in place, and that's because of the relatively brief amount of time that the operation is occurring in a given year. So if we go to the following page, I think there's some key things to highlight here about mitigation for this project. One, we've already talked about several times, but the intensity of the use is fairly low. It's not like a gravel pit or something like that that's operating for customers 7 days a week or 6 days a week. This is for specifically the Masterson's business and their use. So the intensity of the use mitigates some of the impact. The other is the setbacks involved. So the setbacks here are much different than the setbacks from the 2023 proposal. And specifically, the unloading of material at the site is occurring at the north end of the topsoil storage area and in a more centralized area to the parcel. So it's further away from residences, it's further away from the property lines. And that ends up resulting in lower sound levels in the area. There's also, if we go down to section 5.3 here, there's a designated unloading area and a designated screening area. These are planned to reduce sound levels at the property line and at area residences. It helps give that additional buffer to reduce sound levels. And then in addition to that, below the designated screening area, there is a forested buffer to the west between the proposed operation and the property line to the west. And while it's not taken into account in the model, there's a large forested buffer to the south of this operation on the parcel to the south. We usually don't take into account mitigation or attenuation due to forest that's not on the applicant's parcel. But if we were taking that into account here, that in reality, if we were to go out and measure, we would measure sound levels to the south that are 4 to 10 decibels quieter than what we're actually predicting here. So that's just something we wanted to note. We're not saying that that's And that's what the model results are, but that's what it would be if we went out because we're not taking into account that forested area.
So, but you do take into account forest on the applicant property.
If it is sufficiently dense and enough. So yes, the forest to the west fits that. And so we do take into account the attenuation due to that foliage. There's also something else we don't take into account is the temporary storage piles. So as topsoil is stored throughout the area, wherever those piles are located, that's going to provide some additional attenuation from operations that happen once the topsoil is stored. And so to the extent that there's any storage piles near the screener or near areas where trucks are unloading, that will provide some additional attenuation that's not taken into account in the model because those storage piles are considered temporary and they can move and shift around the site. And that's kind of the meat of the study. There is a graph on figure 2 that kind of shows some of those areas, which I know we showed in the site plans as well.
Yeah, those same lines are on my
Okay.
sheets.
Oh, okay. I was looking at the graph. I was thinking XY axis graph. Okay.
Oh, sorry, I meant table. Yeah, or graphic.
Okay. Any any questions from the board regarding, for Mr. Duncan, regarding the modeling or the mitigation? Sound impacts offsite? Okay.
So, I guess so are we saying that this operation is within standard sound levels on all points of the property? Not exceeding standard sound levels?
Yeah, so it meets that it's compatible with the area. It's not a significant increase in sound levels compared to the existing sound levels that occur at the site today. And it also complies with the standard sound levels for Act 250, which would be 55 decibels maximum sound levels at residences and 70 decibels at the property line.
Okay.
Any other questions, Alan?
No.
No.
Anybody else on the board? Members of the public? Noise?
Noise.
Okay, make sure Mr. Duncan can hear you.
Okay, well, I think I'm speaking into that.
You are. Introduce yourself for,
I will do that.
go ahead.
Okay, my name is Tom Fox. And for the purposes of the last go around, I was considered a person with an interest in this procedure. I do not have a shared boundary with this property, but I'm that close to it.
Yeah, can you tell us what road you're on and maybe we can find it on the, can we
Okay.
find your house on the map we saw earlier?
You see,
Go to the.
no, I'm not on that. On this map?
No,
Okay,
no.
I'm pretty close to that.
The one with the blue houses, the little blue houses on it?
Oh, yep, yep.
Figure 1.
Well, I'm probably not gonna be on any of those. But I'll show you where I am.
Well, let's see. You in there?
Yeah, that would be there. I would be on that. So you see this little bare area right here?
Yep,
I believe that is me.
okay, that's helpful.
And
Okay.
And just for your,
so no,
interested person isn't limited to joiners,
Correct.
so you're interested because you're close enough.
Yes, and I was,
northeast.
that's probably the noise there. All right, so, all right, for the board and Mr. Duncan, according to the town of Bristol, there are no numeric values for noise. It's all qualitative. All right, there are no quantitative requirements. So,
Not in this zone.
Mr. Duncan, was any testing conducted to verify the analysis?
What do you mean by testing? The analysis is modeling.
Yeah, I know, it's modeling. So it's modeled, it's not tested, so you didn't go out there and put up a noise source that makes a 50 dB sound and go out and verify that where you predicted these noises would occur, they would occur.
Yes, so we didn't do that. That's not standard engineering practice in predicting outdoor sound propagation. What we did do is in the previous study, we went to the site and we measured the actual sound emissions of the equipment that is used in the model. And so that sound emission is used as input into the model for sound propagation.
Okay, and is it also possible that the sound can reinforce by reflecting off of objects? So if you had a sound and it went out straight and then some of it reflected off off the ground, would it not reinforce?
Yeah, so if you're standing next to a reflective surface, the sound levels can be higher based off of the reflection if you're standing next to that reflective surface. I should say that ground reflections are taken into account in the model. That is part of what's included.
Are taken into account?
They
Yes.
are, yes.
Okay, so even though they're probably pretty close, they may not be exactly correct. Because it is a model, it's only a model, it's not actual measurements.
Yeah, so it's most likely that the model is overly conservative and we're over predicting. And the reason for that is that the model assumes that every receptor is downwind, which is actually an impossibility. So the wind is generated at the noise sources and everybody is downwind. But as we all know, like wind will either come out of the south or out of the north. And it's not just that, it's a moderate downwind condition, which is a very conservative scenario for projecting sound because sound will travel further under a moderate downwind condition. So in that case, those are conditions though don't typically occur. The model is generally conservative on that front. Also, when we've gone back and done verification and post-construction monitoring, we're almost always showing that the model is overly conservative. We're measuring sound levels that are well below the modeled sound levels.
Okay, very good. Those are all the questions I have.
Thank you. Mr. Duncan, can you explain, just so we're clear, when you say conservative, what do you mean with respect to the values predicted by the model?
That the values predicted by the model are over predicting, not under predicting. So if we went out with a sound level meter, we would expect the sound levels that we actually measure in the field while the operation is occurring to be equal to or less than what we're predicting.
By how much?
By how much, can you say?
It varies with distance and other like geographical factors. As an example, I did a rock quarry in the state of Vermont, and we were projecting sound levels of around 53, and we went out in that case and we were measuring sound levels of 48.
Did you have any other questions?
No, I would assume that that case in the rock quarry is not typical, but just one that you want to present.
Well, you can ask.
Well, I think I just did.
Okay. Is the rock quarry example typical or is it
Atypical.
atypical selection for yeah, because
No, so it is not atypical. In fact, there are only a few times where I've gone out to measure sound levels for post-construction, and they have resulted in higher sound levels than projected. And those cases are specifically due to malfunctions in the equipment that is operating, not the sound propagation model.
anyone else? Ellen, do you have any questions?
No, I don't. Thanks.
Anybody else hearing remotely have any questions? If so, tell us who you are. Any questions, do you have any questions on traffic?
I have other questions, but they don't involve Mr. Duncan.
Okay. How about traffic?
Actually, someone could involve traffic, yes.
Okay, so are we, any more questions on noise, so we can? Ooh,
Yeah, I have 2 points I'd like to make quickly, if I could.
who are you?
My name is Keith Schnell. I live at 214 Many Waters Road, which is the southwesternmost property there.
Okay,
Until very recently, I was an abutting landowner. The most recent subdivision removed most of the remaining abutting landowners by putting this proposal in a parcel of land mostly landlocked by Masterson LLC properties.
so you're still an interested
I am an
person.
interested party. So 2 points I'd like to make. I don't have a competing sound study. I have no reason to question the general competence of the sound study being presented. Certainly if one moves the noise source from one side of the property to the other, sound levels at the far portion of it will be less. That doesn't change the fact that this is basically an industrial operation in the middle of a residential area, and in particular, the board has to consider the entire character of the area, including future developments. So we have an Act 250 permit that my friend Tom has helpfully brought a hard copy of. Some 13 additional properties plan to be developed off to the west of this that are not reflected in the sound study. I don't speak for that property owner. I'm not a lawyer. I have no, point is, this is surrounded on every side by residential areas. And given that the only point where the sound level matters is the property line, it's very difficult to imagine that the new housing going in will be nearly as protected from sound as some of the stuff near where I live on the far side of it. The second point I'd like to make, and again, I'll hand it back over in about 2 minutes here. I see a lot of new faces here who may not be fully familiar with the entire history of this development. This is not the first application after the fact that we've seen for this property. And this one was triggered when Masterson LLC almost immediately began violating their previous conditional use permit by operating a gravel yard on the north side of the property last fall. That triggered the notice of violation that we heard referenced here, and this alternative application. I would ask the board consider that in rejecting the use of the conditional use permit. Thank you.
That's a good question. Now, are either one of you guys have the 13 lot subdivision?
No.
No, but I can show you this.
So you're talking to somebody else?
Correct. I'm merely pointing out the overall residential character of the area. It's only going to get more intensive over time.
But that person that owns that 13 lots has been.
Up
You
South
can notify
LLC
that.
is the landowner for
Yeah.
all those lots because only one has been sold off.
And I emphasize, I don't actually speak for that person. I simply point out that.
Yeah, I thought you were speaking.
No, I do not.
No, so
So, but that guy that owns the 13 lots, he's been notified of this.
Correct.
Correct, yes, okay.
all right, so my understanding of that situation, and this is secondhand, so,
Yeah, so.
all right, is that he's working right now and he is unable to come here. But perhaps if he speak with you or is he about
He
this?
did not speak with me, because I would not speak with him, even if he tried. I can
Okay.
only- I can only talk to.
Did he tell you that? To
No, I'm
bring that up
telling
in the
you,
meeting?
this, I got this from somebody else.
Okay,
Aaron
That,
Thomas owns the property.
that,
Aaron Thomas is a construction builder. He
Aaron
works
owns
the
it?
same hours as me every day.
all right, well, anyway, I'm telling you, that's what I heard. I don't know if it's
Okay.
true or not,
this hearsay,
but if you'd like to see this, I go,
but he's not here to represent that.
no, he's not.
Okay,
Any other questions from the board?
so there really are no adjoining property owners here tonight.
Yeah,
Is-
this.
I wasn't until recently an adjoining property
Well,
owner.
no, you are joining property owners.
So how'd you become non-adjoining? Did you sold,
The recent subdivision.
did you sell that property?
No.
No, this
He
lot
subdivided.
has
There
been
was a reduced
reconfigured.
Number of properties.
Like the division between the business and
Okay.
personal lot.
All right.
But
Mhm.
it's, adjoining is who gets notice.
Right.
By statute under
Yep.
NC. The standard for. Anybody can say anything, but the standard for being a participant with is, an interested person, that's defined by statute, one of the, means or methods of becoming an interested person is in the vicinity, in the neighborhood, so that you're likely to be that you may be impacted, and so both these gentlemen and Helen Young are, though not adjoining, are interested persons being due to proximity.
Helena.
I do have a question. I'm Helen. I'm sitting outside my daughter's house in Boston in the dark. That's why I barely see me. So
And just, Helen, you're on Many Waters Road, right? If I
yes,
remember.
27 Many Waters Road. So I'm an interested party, but not adjoining.
Yeah, so closer to Notch Road than Heath.
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
Many of us heard the same sounds that we had heard that led to the very first complaint about the noise emanating from this property. After Masterson was issued a cease and desist command saying he could no longer be doing the sorting of sand on his property, we continued to hear it. And I just looked through my email because I emailed AZ a couple times letting them know, and as did some of my neighbors. I wish I knew when they were, but we knew that this was after Josh was supposed to have stopped. The sound continued because I didn't trespass. I have no idea where that sound was emanating from, what part of his property. I just know it was coming from his property. So depending on where that was coming from, if that was in the area, this new area that he's now proposing to use, we can still hear it and it's still really loud. That's all I can say. I didn't have any way to measure the noise. It's aggravating. It's hard to imagine sitting there and listening to that for 30 days a year when we all moved there because it was a quiet residential area.
Helen, I would just say, for my own records, that was October 22nd of this past year.
Okay.
Is this particular area listed in the regulations as a solely residential area?
No,
No, it's not.
it's RA5.
And it has a list of what
Business,
by right uses and
Conditional
conditional uses.
including business here.
Right. None of us anticipated that a business yard would come with days of consecutive loud machinery.
Anything else, Helen?
Nope, that's all. Thank you.
Okay. Yep. Any other questions from the board? Anything further from the applicant? So, what's your pleasure? Go ahead.
I have other comments that they just did not apply.
Okay,
Mr.
all
Duncan.
right, make them now.
Okay, very good. Right. So the conditional use permit number 25-300 application request, that's this one. Request approval of a topsoil stockpile and sorting yard and a parcel owned by Masterson Land Development and Properties LLC. A notice of decision, conditional use application number 23-301, parcel number 090227, that's the property we're talking about, was issued on February 2nd, 2024. So a little under 2 years ago. That considered issues that are the same as or similar to those requested in this conditional use application. All right. Two issues addressed in the 2024 notice of decision for noise generated by stockpiling and sorting operation and traffic on the Lower Notch Road. And I'm going to talk about that here. In the opinion of this author, me, permit number 25-300 should be denied for the reasons outlined below. If you don't want to stand.
So that's application,
Excuse me?
not permit. You're talking about the application that's being submitted or the permit that was authorized?
I'm talking about both of them, actually.
Okay, just be clear as you go forward,
Well,
please.
that was pretty clear. All right, from the 2024 notice of decision, so this is the notice.
Yep.
For what's permitted. All right, and this is a quote. Multiple neighboring property owners testified at length and consistently regarding the loud, intrusive, and disturbing noise level that they experienced from trucks and equipment operating in the stockpile area and building or improving the road, building or improving the road. The slamming of dump truck tailgates to dislodge soil from the raised dump body in particular generates sharp, explosive noise akin to a gunshot. Eric Fifield, who's not here tonight, and his wife own the residential property immediately to the east of the stockpile site. And it's noted on the map. The noise experienced in the Fifield home was loud enough to wake sleeping toddlers from their naps. That the Fifields experienced this level of noise despite the intervening 50-foot high ridge between their home reinforces just how loud and disturbing the noise from stockpiling was and would be. Other property owners also testified, and I've had to put the word "to" here. Other property owners also testified to the noise disturbance that they experienced in their yards and homes. All right, this is continued. The level of noise, this continuing quotes, the level of noise from the soil stockpiling in the location proposed is not simply acceptable. All right, so the permit that was issued says the level of noise from stockpiling in the location proposed is simply not acceptable. The DRB therefore concludes that the proposed soil stocking piling operation by its nature, scale, and conduct would cause an undue adverse change to the character of the area in violation of section 355, paragraph 2. All right, so these are my comments. Moving its topsoil stockpile and sorting operation from the east side of the parcel to the west side does not change the argument against it. The move does reduce the noise from the operation on the Bristol Notch side of the parcel, according to the 2 noise studies performed, but does not change its impact to the nature of the area. Right, still noisy. The noise that was once loudest at the lands of Keith Schnell, Jim Winters, and would be transferred to the lands of J.A. and A.E. Studevant, E. Purrington, that's the one to the south, and Harvey Virgens LLC. That's the proposed one, apparently that they've sold a lot. The noise of the lands of Schnell, Madura, and Winters will also be significant. All right, so it'll be reduced, but it'll still be loud. All right, another quote from the decision. Often overlooked in contested cases such as this is the lens through which the DRB must approach the character of the area inquiry. UDR section 55, paragraph 2 directs that the DRB must analyze not the character of the area as it currently exists, but rather whether the proposed use would cause an undue adverse change to the character of the area. And then in the quote, this is underlined. I didn't underline, this is in the decision. As the area would exist if fully developed in accordance with the town plan. So if this property adjacent on the west side was fully developed, how would this noise impact that area? As a result, the DRB must think beyond the status quo that constitutes the neighborhood's current level of development. My comment. Given the shortage of housing in Bristol, the author feels there is a reasonable probability that the lands adjoining the parcel in question will be developed as living spaces. anyone living on the adjoining lands to the topsoil stockpiling and sorting area would experience the noise disturbances that the neighbors on the north, south, and east side of the previously proposed areas would have experienced. So those are the signs where we neighbors complained about. The noise in question would cause an undue adverse change to the character of the area for current and potential area residents. The fact that Masterson Land Development and Properties LLC has invested in the development of the topsoil stockpiling and sorting area cannot impact the DRB decision to improve or deny the permit, all right? The fact that they went ahead and developed this property without a permit really doesn't impact this decision. However, the noise produced during the development of the area in question caused sufficient disturbance to the neighbors on the east side of Masterson property to request the zoning administrator to investigate what was causing the noise. All right, so when he was developing this property, the noise he made developing the property caused the neighbors on the east side and the north side, I believe, to call the zoning administrator to complain about the noise. And that went on for a period of a week.
Kevin, briefly, and I've been very good about staying quiet. I would just remind the board that this is not an enforcement proceeding.
I know.
It's an application that needs to be reviewed under the pertinent standards. So there's been a lot of discussion about, in fact, what is happening here is a landowner in light of that, and I work with Jim on this, is let's do this the right way in light of that notice of violation. And so what we have is an application that should be reviewed on its merits, not dealing with an enforcement action that's not on the agenda this evening.
That is correct, and I have not talking about this enforcement
Okay,
action.
Mr. Director, comments to the board.
Yes, sir. All right, I believe the noise from the operation of the stockpiling and sorting operation will be as significant as the noise from the construction phase of the project and will last for a long period of time, years. All right. Again, a quote from the notice of decision. Site-specific criteria 9 cross-references compliance with section 751 regarding noise. For the RE5 district, the noise standard is qualitative rather than quantitative. Section 751 prohibits noise that is excessive at the property line, represents a significant increase in the noise level in the vicinity of the development and is incompatible with the reasonable use of the surrounding premises. All right, so this is also from the quote from the decision, and it's not out of context, it's just continuing on. Of the average 15 vehicle trips per workday, large trucks will usually account for only 1 or 2 trips. These trucks may sometimes tow a trailer loaded with a piece of construction equipment. Construction equipment is generally not towed back and forth each workday, but rather stayed at the work site as long as needed. My comment. Conditional use permit, number 25300 application, that's the current one, specifies the desire to truck in up to 1,000 cubic yards of earthen material. That request would require 72 truckloads of 14 cubic yards per truck to bring the material in, and 72 trucks to drive the 72 trips, to drive the empty trucks from the property. It would also require 72 truckloads to remove the screen material from the stockpiling area and 72 trips to drive the empty trucks into the stockpile area to collect the topsoil. That sums to 288 truck trips, which far exceeds the number of trips envisioned by the notice of decision. Moving a topsoil stockpiling and sorting area from the east side of the property to the west side does not alleviate the issue that sorting and stockpiling causes. It only reduces its effect for some adjoining landowners and increases it for others. If conditional use permit number 25300 application is approved, the noise generated by the stockpiling area would be an issue for all adjoining landowners and other interested persons. All right, so if it's approved, it'll still be noisy where I live. It'll be noisier where the proposed, someone bought a piece of property there, proposed construction area will be new houses. And the DRB must consider the eventual development of those areas and not just its status quo as it is. And I would like this statement to be included in the minutes. Who may I give this to?
I'll take it.
Well,
Okay,
it can be included in the record, whether not necessarily gonna be in the minutes.
okay, fine. And if you'd like, I can email that to you.
Yeah, that'd be great.
All right, I'll do that. So, couple other things. All right, so, we talked about two-week periods for moving the soil in and out. Can those two periods be concatenated? Could it possibly be 1 4-week period?
No, it's job dependent. I mean, there could be a job where he hauls 10 loads of material over the course of the day. There could be another job where he hauls in, his estimated 1,000 yards, 72 truckloads over the course of 3 or 4 days.
All right, so it is possible that those 4 weeks could line up.
Well, let's ask Josh, are you talking about two separate periods? That was my understanding for the two-week periods.
It would just be like Greg's saying, it would be, you may have 10 loads now and then 25 loads another day or spread out over, a couple weeks. There's no set.
There is a scenario in which it could occur over a period of consecutive days. It also could occur, it's probably less likely.
Yeah.
That it's gonna occur, 10 truckloads at a time.
Well, I just wanna be clear what the application is proposing.
We're
I thought-
proposing that we run this topsoil stockpile yard for up to 300 hours annually, Monday through Friday, from 7 to 5.
I mean, when you,
So it could be any day.
yeah, but I wanna be clear when,
Sure.
because and Josh weigh in here if I wanna understand it correctly. The 300 hours is to bring material in to create the stockpile and to screen it.
Yeah.
But it could go out all through the year as you have jobs other places.
Correct.
With a limit of 72 loads
That's more or less what we're anticipating. Yes.
annually.
Annually, yeah.
It's 72 truckloads in and.
Right, I'm at round 72
truck-
round
72
trips.
empty trucks out. 72 empty trucks in and 72 full trucks with the screen material out, for a total of 288 per year.
Trips, not trucks.
Trips, well, each truck is a trip.
Each truck is 2 trips.
Each trip.
Well, all right. So, trips,
So it wouldn't be 30 trucks in one day and,
could be.
It could be. Yeah.
well, if you ran 30 trucks on one day, 30 trucks on another day, you only have 10 trucks left for the year. You used up your loads. And then what if another job comes in?
Right, and Josh is trying to just build a volume that he finds suitable for his business, which we've come up with 1,000 cubic yards. That's what we had in the previous application.
So
72 or 144
practically,
truckloads over the course of a year is almost negligible.
Right, what I'm saying is. If evenly spaced. There and. What happens if you get a job where, I need this much more? Is that where you say, oh geez, guys, we've used up our quota?
In 15 years I've been in business, I've never done anything more than that.
you mean
Been around it a long time now.
1,000?
I know.
You mean 1,000? 1,000
Yeah,
yards?
that's it.
So practical question for you guys, you've got these, in your application, you have these. Proposed levels. 30 day, 300 hours,
Mhm.
right? How is Z gonna have any idea if you're sticking to that? What's the mechanism by which your compliance can be monitored?
there an hour meter on the screen?
Well,
Yeah, there's an hour right there, an hour over on the machine, on
Yeah,
the screen.
yeah.
On the sieve?
yeah, I mean, it's
Yeah, the
it's an
screen has
important,
an hour.
an important
on it.
question in zoning. Zoning permits is.
Yeah.
You can have these metrics, but if there's no way
Yeah,
for the zoning administrator to be able
To
to
check.
or to be able to respond to a
Yeah.
question from a neighbor, say, hey, I think they've been
Yeah.
doing this, I think they've been doing this like 500 hours a
Yeah.
year. How does AZ figure it out? Now,
Yeah.
sometimes, I know it's been a while, but there've been some gravel pits around town where there was periodic reporting.
Yeah.
That was required to be sent in, so
thinking of that.
well, and I'm asking.
Yeah.
I'm asking AZ and I'm asking you. What makes sense, cause if we just say 300 hours, there's no way for AZ to know.
You do 30 days.
Yeah.
I mean, days are easy. I mean, if you know that you're not gonna be doing 2 hours this day and 1 hour that day, I mean, it's
Yeah.
basically, if you're running the operation, you're gonna do a 10-hour day. Days are a lot easier to track
Track.
than hours are.
Yeah.
So would 30 days get you wherever you need, cause that's the estimate.
Cause that's-
I think we
We're
could
talking about
say
screening.
30 days to run the screen. And then the trucks, the allotted amount can come in and leave within the. Business hours,
So-
approved hours.
So how are you gonna be able to keep track, how would AZ be able to verify that you've done 30 days and not 50?
Well, my guys all go out there time daily. I'm busy, so
So
if
wait,
there was any way of checking into it, they're
well,
required to or
you.
detail in on what they are seeing.
See, way in here, I'm thinking of practical issues here.
Cause we built
Would-
to the job, to
would-
the location,
So to roughly say April to May that you'd be running this,
so it'd be able to,
no, November,
it'd be
December?
November, yeah.
Yeah, well, what about? This is an open question, what about some sort of periodic reporting from Josh, these are the days I screened?
Yeah, I mean,
How about
the hour reader on
Yeah.
the screener,
our meter
send that out
Say-
every, like,
every quarter,
yeah.
whatever, take a picture of it.
Yeah, we take a picture of it,
Yeah,
but we do use it on our job sites as well, like.
cause it'll have a date from your phone, it'll have a
there,
date
it's easy to
stamp right
track
on
it.
it.
Yeah,
And then you can take a picture of it so that way you can see that it's actually,
yeah, I would say,
that it's there.
in my opinion, it's something that can be read,
Tracked.
tracked. Days are easy to track, but if we're talking like only doing 2 hours in a day, then that eats up a whole day. So I personally, for me and for any other future ZA, I would say this,
Don't be scaring me.
I'm not leaving yet, Kevin.
Okay, good, you're not allowed.
I'm not leaving yet. I got at least 2 more years in me, I don't know. I would say the screener, like logger, how many hours you're using it would be one. And then perhaps doing the time cards for the truckers coming in and out of when.
But how frequently makes sense for your administrative needs and Josh's, would it, like, are you?
If it's from April to November, I would say every 2 months check in, or maybe monthly. Heck,
Well, that's what I'm asking.
yeah, I would say
Okay.
monthly, just a check-in, just a send over. That way I can keep track throughout the period of time. It's also keeping track for you too.
Yeah, that's one of my thoughts, Josh, too, is
So-
if the board were to approve this, then. And you haven't
Then you're
keeping
not-
tracks, you don't wanna be answering an inquiry in October and then, oh shoot, I'm at 40.
Yeah, right.
So if you're gonna do hour meters, would you go back to the 300 hours? That's.
That's what we would
Right.
think about.
Yeah.
I mean, you gotta get through all,
Right,
all the hurdles here, but I wanted to raise that because it's. Conditions and standards that no one can actually verify aren't any good. Not good for the neighbors, not good for the town, not good for the applicant.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure you can, Mr. Jim.
This hour meter. I have no familiarity with the hour meter, sounds like you do a
enough.
Can someone describe that for me, and is there any way to manipulate this hour meter?
No, it's what the hours that are running for the machine.
So the
But as soon as the
The
machine
piece of
figures it out.
equipment, so it's basically like an odometer. or
Yeah.
what?
Yeah.
Thing along those. Alright,
So let me present a scenario. Alright, so you're running the machine. And you get up to 297 hours, and you say, oh, shoot. You run over there, you take a picture of it, and then you go back to working for another 40 hours. How would you?
No, because we got a document when we started and when we use it. So it's pretty clear that we would know when our start and stop is. You have to document it.
And he's probably, if I may speak out, he's probably using the hourly for maintenance purposes, so.
We have to from
I'll give it to that.
And if he's
Yeah,
reporting
for a lot of
monthly, if
services,
you're reporting
purpose
monthly,
machine,
and you
everything.
went over.
go ahead, Joe.
for that.
Or sorry, Alan.
I was gonna say, if you're reporting monthly and you go over, that becomes apparent in 30 days. And then the question is, then what?
Then it's,
Enforcement.
then it's.
That's a
then it's an
violation.
issue.
Yeah.
Then it's an easy issue.
Then it's my issue.
I didn't bring it up.
Well, go ahead, Jim. I like the sound of having something that everybody's agreeing is an accurate measurement that can be obtained. It would also be great, I think, if the board would consider, if they're talking about issuing any kind of a permit for this, to allow AZ access.
You can come down
A
there.
condition allowing access, basically, on minimal notice to the very.
Yeah, you can check, track loads and everything too.
Very good Supreme Court case law on that. We have it by law.
Yeah.
People don't realize it sometimes, but
Check loads.
it's good to,
whatever.
Yeah.
good to actually say it in the.
It's good to have it in the.
It wouldn't be a condition if this was approved, it would just be where it is. Because that's the law.
No. That's a good idea.
Sounds good to me.
You have any questions or concerns that you wanna flesh out, AZ? Yeah.
I think my biggest thing is looking at land development as a whole. There is a residential development that was planned. It was originally done in I'm gonna say 2016, but I definitely have to double check that. And looking at the character of this area, the RA5 district, it is residential. But I guess my question is, in Bristol, if we truly want to maintain our residential and also businesses, how is this application benefiting both of those? That's my question of land development.
Well, I guess my take on that is, you look at what's in the zone, allowed in the zone as permitted and conditional uses, and there's a whole bunch of stuff kind of like this in the conditional uses, as well as residential, so you've got this mix of things that potentially conflict. There could be lumber mills, there could be quarries, there, extraction, there's all sorts of, take a look at the list in RA5, of all these conditional uses that are can be pretty intensive, including on noise, so it's up to us to, and we're supposed to somehow determine if it's fully developed, how that would all be. It doesn't tell us fully developed in what way. You've got all this mix of possible uses. It's pretty hard, but that's what we have to do, is try to look at all those factors.
I mean, in the village on Pine Street, there is a woodworking place that makes tables and so forth.
Hmm.
And it's residential completely on the other side. And then there's Martin's, my favorite place, and it's surrounded by houses. And there's a lot of traffic and there are heavy trucks going in and out. There's a town garage right in the other end that has to drive heavy trucks to the town, so it's typical mixture, and it always, as I remember, small towns as I was growing up, It's the way it always was, that it's always a mixture, and somehow you have to come to some sort of. Conclusion is how do you make these things work together? Which I think this, our particular zoning regulations at the moment are trying to do.
Yeah.
And also, you say that somebody is selling lots. It doesn't mean that somebody won't have a bright idea that they want to put in a small shop of some sort. You don't know.
Yeah, home occupations are allowed. It could be
Yeah.
could be a garage.
It could be a garage.
Um,
I had one of those next to me at one point.
so, since, Chris Roy raised an issue, and since we have some new people here, it's might be helpful for me to explain. So we're a quasi judicial board. We decide applications and notices of violation, whether the notice of violation, if appeal comes to us, and we would decide whether it was affirmed or denied. And if it were affirmed or denied, it could be appealed to the environmental court. Once the environmental, if it wasn't appealed, or once there's a final decision, and if the decision was there's a violation, then it's up to the town to enforce, in its discretion, figure out how and whether to enforce. That's a select board call, not a DRB call. We're out of that. We're not in the enforcement business, and people sometimes think, especially if they're new to this process, that AZ works for us. AZ doesn't work for us. AZ works, the boss is the select board. And the enforcement decisions that have been taken in this case are decisions made by AZ with the oversight of the select board and the town attorney. So whether it's just not our role to weigh in some way on what we think the appropriate resolution of the notice of violation should or shouldn't be, or whether there should be something beyond this permit. Just, it's just not what a DRB does. We just don't do enforcement. Enforcement happens with a separate action in the environmental court, and they're actually pretty rare. So there's background here. But it's not about the violation or what should be done about it. The question that we have to decide is whether this is a conditional use application we would approve with certain conditions or not. That's what we have. That's what's in our lap. My thought is, and I'm willing, certainly happy to hear what you have to say. There is a lot of background here that at least 4 of you haven't had the experience on. My thought would be to schedule a deliberative session in the relatively near future. In the meantime, some of if you're new to this noise stuff, it can be kind of dense, and give some time to actually go through it in light of the testimony, and you could actually read the previous decision while certainly not controlling. Even the noise and traffic studies here refer to some of the data from before, and it's helpful, I think, to understand what it just helps put it in context that doesn't control here, but you might find helpful. I know it, and Ted and Brenda were part of it, but you 4 were not.
Right.
I have another sort of question. So if this were to go to the, somebody would, bring it to the environmental board. Or environmental court, do they have to, take into account our decision, or do they start over again?
It's de novo, so if there's an appeal of a DRB decision in most towns, unless you're what's called now in the record town, and we are not. So the environmental court puts on its Bristol DRB hat, and decides the case anew, it's a more formal proceeding. The court, it doesn't owe our decision any particular deference. It can certainly read it and be influenced, but find it persuasive or not. But it's not required to like find something wrong with it. It's what's called de novo, which means all new.
So you don't know which direction it's going to go if you bring something to the court.
Absolutely. Yeah, you don't. Yeah, everything, the court, there's it's more important, it's more formal, but the applicant puts on its case, and if there's opposition, it puts on their case. The town can have a role. If it wants, typically towns monitor, but sometimes they actually participate as a town. That would be Jim's. So that, how much of a role we're going to take an active role in either opposing or supporting is up to the town in the particular case. Sometimes the town makes an appearance and just monitors it to see what's going on. So how do you folks feel about calling it a night and scheduling a deliberative session? We close the hearing now, we've got 45 days to get the decision out. So I'd like to do it in the relatively near future on some night that works, if a majority thinks that that's a good way to go.
I think it is. I mean, I think we should have, I think we should talk about it
Okay,
a lot more.
all right, I'll move that
Maybe
we,
understand it a little bit better.
I'll move that we close the hearing, close the evidence, and that we schedule, not tonight. No, I was here till 10:20, almost 10:30 last night with the select board. I'm not doing it twice in a row. So we can come up with some schedule now, maybe. Is there?
Second.
All right, so we'll move to, there's been a second on motion to close the hearing and schedule a deliberative session. We'll figure that out after the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So that's unanimous. All right, let's figure out what AZ you want to do here. What works for you guys? I'd like to do it next week.
Yeah, I would do it.
Yeah.
Wednesday.
Are you talking like Tuesday or?
I don't care.
Okay.
I'm pretty, I don't have anything in the way,
There's nothing on combination.
I will say planning commission has a meeting next Tuesday at 7 p.m. I will not be available next Tuesday, nor will the space be available.
And neither will I.
I'm best for Wednesday.
I'll be in Ohio.
The 17th.
Well, you can zoom in.
All next week.
I mean, I'm serious.
It'll have to be this board.
Yeah, but yeah, somebody can participate in it by Zoom
Mhm.
if that way.
Can we do that?
No, I know, but I'm just saying.
I think I will be traveling back to Vermont on Wednesday.
Wednesday, the 17th,
Yes.
so Thursday or Friday.
Thursday and Friday are good for me. You have a voice?
I'm trying to figure out.
Thursday would be best.
I'm trying to figure out. So
Thursday.
we're talking about the 17th or the 18th?
The 18th, Thursday.
Yeah, probably Thursday would be better. We want to go our different ways on Friday nights.
Mhm.
The 11th is fine.
Since I have a date, but my wife's already in Colorado, so.
Excuse me,
I can still have a date.
Right.
I get in trouble.
All right, so
Yeah, Thursday first week.
for some reason, it's not showing up on. I know I've got a Rutland Select Board meeting one of the nights next week, and it's a special meeting, and I'm fearing it's Thursday, and I'm not seeing it on my calendar, I'm not sure why. Oh, it's Tuesday, okay, so Thursday, the 18th, is that good for everybody?
Yep, I think so.
7 o'clock, good?
Good to me.
You can be there, AZ?
I will make time for you, Kevin.
And maybe, I'm just thinking there might be questions, but you don't have to be there.
I can zoom in
Yeah,
if you don't mind.
if you, or you,
And when you send that out.
you might help us, with. The
Understand.
the documentation and such,
Yeah, yeah.
especially if someone's remote.
Yep.
Putting up the exhibits and things, if that becomes necessary.
Yeah.
You're in charge of the owl.
It's a free bird.
No, you're the owl master. All right, we'll see you next
Sounds good.
Thursday at 7:00. Easy, can you send to Alan, Dale, Rebecca, Ron, seven?
An agenda, correct?
No, the decision.
Oh, yes.
The decision from 24 February.
Yep.
So now it's. So it's Thursday next.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, Thursday,
Thank you.
yep, Thursday the 18th at 7.
I'll send out an agenda to you all tomorrow that confirms the deliberative session, and Ron, I will give you all the documents that you could ever dream of.
There's 2 points. One is I will not dream about it.
Okay,
And then,
I guess it should be me.
next Thursday, actually, I'm gonna get.
Will you be able to zoom in?
I don't think so. But I'm not sure. I will do my best if I can.
That's our, we have.
We have enough.
Yeah, we have.
We have enough.
Do we have enough to do the meeting minutes?
I
wasn't here last week.
I think Kevin thinks we have adjourned the meeting, so I'm not sure what's.
Done?
Yeah, I'm gonna go grab him. Give me one moment.
But I think reading these, I think we also didn't approve the ones from July 22nd, so.
That was because you didn't have enough people from that meeting, is that correct?
This is not meeting second.
Yeah, that's right. Dale would make the quorum with that and he's here.
But you must have one, let it one.
No, but we didn't because I didn't participate. They couldn't use,
No decision.
they couldn't use me, no.
Fighting from the
Yeah.
line.
I couldn't get in a little later.
I bet Kevin's gone.
The third woman besides myself,
Oh, so you learned about it.
in the zoning board.
You didn't participate.
No.
Somebody in Russia. And Russia, and somebody's.
My plan is being, I got
And
pick up my sister.
Sorry,
at the
Al.
Airport.
No,
Sorry.
Oh.
Should have known that, right? I didn't think there'd be an issue.
Well, with these days, it's less predictable than it's been in the past.
that was sitting there looking at.
By the way, second.
all the minutes.
Work around a lot, but I'm gonna be gone a couple of weeks on October.
Is Kevin gone?
No, Kevin is talking with the.
I don't know.
I'm gonna be
We
gone. a
can
couple of
leave
weeks.
just on minutes to.
Yeah, we're gonna
Next time.
November, too.
Anyway, it's probably your work.
I'm going to Ireland with my son.
A whole bunch of people
We
here.
might go, we're gonna try to go to
I
Scotland.
didn't really wanna go. I wanted to go to Scotland, but.
The adjourning notice were notified and the thing was in the newspaper.
No, not that.
Yes, surprising, none of them showed,
I
yeah.
know he came.
Well,
I-
the neighbor
I
to the
went
south is Scott Harrington. And the neighbor to the east is South LLC, so Aaron Thomas. They got sent the notice via certified mail.
First matter.
Really?
Like 19 days before the hearing, so they were giving it.
Expenses paid. Yeah.
Yeah.
That said,
Oh,
Very much.
sorry, didn't tell us.
Oh, sorry,
We didn't-
Oh, meeting adjourned.
We didn't dare to move.
Oh,
I'm putting.
We have minutes?
Yeah.
August 26th.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we can just go next time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good idea.
Or we do
Yeah, sorry,
Thursday,
folks,
we
I
do
didn't-
Thursday night.
Or third, I don't know if you can do them